Guys, welcome to this live podcast. Today we have a product lead from KHOJI today with us, Umer.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Umer. Cool. I think we're a couple of minutes late, anyways. Let's get started. Um, Today we're gonna learn. We're gonna openly discuss what KHOJI for Agile product is, which space it sits in. Umer is gonna give us a brief demo, hopefully, and the aim is to learn more about KHOJI's feature and what problem it's solving. I'll get started with it. So I've been in a lot of roles where, as a delivery manager, as a product manager or program manager, I've been leading a lot of teams, and always I've had this problem where I'm not able to answer some of the key questions that the business wants me to answer, and which is, am I going to get my next release? Give me a fixed release date. It's hard to pin in a fixed release date. Um, when are we going to finish? Whether we can go faster than we are. So velocity related questions, estimation related questions. And when you're dealing with multiple squads, can you borrow do you have a free resource that you can borrow from each squad, from another squad? Typically these questions are very or answers are very subjective, and you have to typically reach out to someone to ask, and it's onto the team lead to lean lend you resource. These decisions are never data driven or have not been data driven, at least in my experience. um, Koji aims to solve all these problems for delivery manager or people who are in the delivery roles. The key principle that Koji follows is data driven decision making, which means it's going to give you lots of graphs, lots of matrices to make your decisions. But hold on, I think all of us have been here before. We have been creating dashboards, trying to show our or make decisions and show our customers what rationale behind those decisions to through a lot of dashboarding. But there's a problem with data driven decision making, and that problem lies, if your data is crap, your decision making is going to be crap as well. So what problems do we typically get with our data? Data is sometimes biased, and in most cases it's biased, which skews decisions towards one way. It's inaccurate or inconsistent. In some cases, it's missing. Um, in some cases, when you want data from someone or a resource, he might be cherry picking some of the data to make him look good or make the report look good. This is a key problem. So we want to remove that subjectiveness from our decision making. And stewardship. So who controls that? Who maintains that data? How do we go on that data? Make sure that the data is good, so that our decision making is good as well. So Koji introduces a key principle of data reliability. Any metric that you see is going to come with a data quality flag. Uh, and a data quality flag, as we'll see in the demo, is driven from a number of um, you know places. A RAG setting that you can set at an organization level will give you an indication of relative how comfortable an organization is with that percentage of data reliability. Another key problem that agile teams face is differentiating between productive and non-productive work. And you estimate your productive work, but a lot of tasks happen in the middle of a sprint that do not qualify as productive work that you didn't plan for. How do you know what those tasks are, and how do you eliminate or at least reduce those tasks out of your SDLC? So Koji lets you select some of uh, Koji provides you a way to basically filter out those non-productive work, or at least track that non-productive work. And over a period of time, the teams have more control over, or more visibility into, how much time they're spending on non-productive work. Again, we're going to see that in the demo. As I said earlier, the and non-productive work items can be configured at an organization level, and so there's flexibility. Another thing that typically delivery managers want to do is to compare team performances to see which teams are doing well and which aren't, and the reasons behind them. In some cases, you might be outsourcing work to a third party, and you want to compare their performance with your internal team's performance, and see, whether it makes sense to in house some of that work. So Koji considers that problem and tries to deal with that problem by giving you a team level metrics and a team by team comparison, which again we'll cover in the demo. Once you, as a team, you've set your standards. You want to be alerted when those standards are not met. Um, and Koji has an alerting mechanism to provide you alerting on a ticket by ticket basis, or task by task basis, again configurable at an organization level. And those alerts can be provided on the screen like shown here, or it can be via email alerts, which you can configure. Before we get to the demo, last thing I want to cover is how does actually Koji work, and what, just to make things clear for people, how to think about this product. Now, this is not an alternative to Jira. In fact, it works in conjunction with Jira, and most organizations who are using Jira would be able to pull this data into Koji in two modes. What we call it, live mode, which is actually a live connection with Jira, and an extract mode, which is a batched connection with Jira, and a periodic connection with Jira, and which is also configurable. So this is not a replacement for your Koji is not a replacement for your issue tracking system. In fact, it uses that data and helps you improve the data that you, or how you manage your issue tracking system, by giving you portfolio level view, release level metrics, team level metrics, setting threshold at your organization level where the process that you've set is breached, through an alerting mechanism. So this is a quick summary of how Koji works and what functionality it gives you. Omad, do you want to take it from here and run through the product with us?
Yes, sure, definitely. So let me share my screen and then I can run you through the quick product overview.
Mhm.
Shit. Window, admin panel, share. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
All right. So as Asim mentioned that it's very easier for the Koji to integrate with your Jira application. So the way it all does is that as soon as you are logged it into your Koji application, we could probably see this an admin panel where we have got a project already configured. But if it is not configured, then you could just quickly configure it, and all basically it does ask your email ID and your API token, and that's it. And the rest of the process is then automatically be taken care by the Koji product itself. And then it basically runs a wizard, uh, just like an installation wizard that basically consists of 3 to 4 steps that you need to do, like select the projects, and then it automatically fetches the team boards related to it, and then users if you just want to invite it, and then some of the settings such as your team boards and story points and epic link, which we will see later on, that where they're basically used. And that's it. Once your admin panel is configured, then the next thing that you need to do is you have got some options enabled, such as analysis by release, analysis by team board, analysis by work log, and we will now basically explore each feature briefly. The first one is work log. What work log feature basically it does is that it basically first asks you to select some of the teams that you have. So whatever team that you select, then it asks you to select some of the date ranges. And as soon as you select of any of the date range and you hit the submit button, then you can see this kind of dashboard that is in front of you. So before we dig down into that, what all those graph and chart represent, the first thing that we need to understand is what basically distinct Koji from the other applications as well is that it gives you sort of a data reliability metrics before it shows you all the graphs. So for example, in the case of team work log analysis, what it basically shows you over is that the team basically has logged 19.42 days in total, among which all this graph is being displayed. So rather than we just display the graph, we first show that the date range that you have selected of last 7 days, and from the team members that you have over here, only 19.42 days, or basically we could say 32.37% of work log is actually logged. And on top of that, we are building this report. And what the report basically does is shows you that the main categories, or we could say the productive categories, time log distribution is like this, and the non-productive categories, or what we call as the others work log categories, are distributed like these. So we could see over here that not only how where the effort is going, but we could also filter it down to a micro level as well. And for that, we're just going to press the team workload details button, and then we could see the individual items, individual teams with their individual members as well. That, for example, we could see the which team member does not even has logged all of their time, or the one who have logged their time are basically logging against which category, the productive one or the non-productive one. And all of this is configurable. You could just go to the settings icon over here, and the categories that are basically configured are accounted for the productive ones, and the categories which are not configured at all are accounted for the non-productive one, or they go to the other categories. This is sort of a high level view of the team work log analysis section. And now if I jump on quickly to the other bits, this one. So apart from team work log analysis, we have got a view for the delivery analysis as well. So what delivery analysis basically shows over here is that you can either analyze by team board, or you can analyze by a release, or we could say that analyze by a fixed version as the Jira uh, explains it. So if I just go to the analysis by release section, we could basically see all the releases that we have currently configured in our actually project source on the source system. So we have got one release which is released, and we have got current one release which is in a pending state. So let's have a look at the released one, the release which is already being done, and I just press it, and I'm going to hit the submit button. As soon as the data is loaded, we could see around 4 to 5 different kind of analysis on it. The burn up one, the epic story, story defects, indicators, etc. But on a quick dashboard, uh, all of this information is summarized. So if I am a delivery manager, or if I am interested in knowing that how did my release actually went, which is already being shipped to the customer, the first thing I would see is this burn up analysis, which basically gives me the whole portfolio view of what actually happened in the release and how this actually release is shipped in terms of timeline aspect. So we could see that the release started at 7th, the release gets delivered at 31, and the scope line is set to 25 over here, which basically means that the scope of the items in the release was already fixed before the release starts, and it never changed. So that means the team was very clear what are the items that we need to deliver, and it remains consistent. And ideally, the story points or these two issues should have been burned like this, but we could see that it team started a little bit late and started churning the issues, but then they gained momentum, and then the momentum continues, and eventually the team basically meets the scope even a week before the release. So that's a good thing. And then we could narrow it down to see that, okay, for example, if a team gets momentum here, then what exactly happened over here? So we could just go to this individual burn up analysis tab, we could load this details, and we could see that, okay, this is the date where we could see that the team has gone momentum, and the date is 16th. So we could just narrow it down here, and we could see that, okay, on this particular date, this story, which is web 8, gets burned, and eventually 10 story points were banked, and add it into our portfolio. And what exactly is Web 8? We could then go to the story analysis tab, and we could see that, okay, this is the Web 8 one. And we could see that, okay, this particular story on a very high level view, we could see that the development time over here was estimated to be some X amount of days, which is 6.39, but the team sort of did completed the development work pretty early, and we have sort of gained some momentum over here. So this is just an example of how Koji gives you visibility that if a release has been shipped or not shipped, then how or what exactly is going on, or where we actually gain momentum, or what are the areas that we need to focus on. Now, before I start explaining the other aspects of this analysis by release page, the best way to do it is to have a look in the current release which is not being shipped. So this is a use case study that we have built. So for example, this is a release that we could see that this is an overdue. It was supposed to be delivered by 30th of last month, but as we could see that today is 6th of October and this release is not being shipped. Now let's see how we can use Koji to narrow down that what are the reason that the release is not being shipped, and what are the action points for me as a delivery manager or as somebody who is interested in knowing that since when can I get the release. So the first view is again the same one, the burn up analysis. We could probably see that, okay, the team started over here at 1 and the release was supposed to be delivered at this dotted line. But since we are 1 week ahead and we do not have any much visibility that what went wrong. First thing we could probably see over here is that we could see an increase in the scope line. So what eventually that means is that, and at an abstract level, what it means is that the release does get started and sort of some items were added in the scope because maybe the team was confident, maybe the velocity was there, and we increased the scope of the release. But then we could see that probably at the end we have got a sort of a panicking situation where we could say that, okay, we're not going to hit it, and sort of team dropped some stories from here and the scope still goes down to 58, but still the team was not able to meet that particular target. So how and why does it happen? Let's narrow it down. So for narrowing it down from an agile perspective, first thing after burn up that we could see is this epic analysis. So the epic analysis one, the stories which are marked as resolved are with R. So before we have a look at the one which are already resolved, let's have a look at the ones which are not resolved. So if we start looking at this one, which is Web 35, we could probably see that not only that the graph shows that we have burned all the time which was allocated, but we have also exceeded the threshold as well. And not only that, we have exceeded the threshold. Looking at the tasks which are already pending there, it looks like that we are going it's going to take a bit more time, as the graph shows here. Now what exactly happened in this epic? Obviously epic consists of stories. So if we narrow it down and I just clicked it and I navigated to the epic analysis tab, and then we could see that, okay, in this particular epic, these are the 3 stories that are over there, and we could see that only one of the stories in the done category and the other 2 are still in progress. So obviously once these stories will be completed, only then we can mark this epic to be complete. And now why this particular story is not completed yet, which is it's supposed to be. So for example, one of the story is Web 38 or the other one is Web 37. We could go to the story analysis tab. We could have a quick look to see that, okay, why this Web 37 or Web 38 is not merged. We can probably go here. Yeah, this is the one, the Web 37 one. So if I just click on it, I could probably see that one of the reason that it does not get merged is that we have got some story defects on it. So as we could see that QA task is done, development is done, the other bits are done, but we have got a story defect. That means that it went into the testing, but we have got defects on it. Now, how many defects on it? We can probably go to the next tab, story defect analysis, and we could see that, okay, this is the Web 37, and what happened with it is that we have got 2 story defects in it, and we end up spending 4.80, which is 5 extra man days on it just to complete this work. But still the story is under progress. That means that there is still some work going on. So this is how basically Koji you could track down from burn up till to epic to narrow down to your story, and then to narrow it down to your particular tasks as well. Apart from this, all this view, it also shows you the bugs which are allocated into your release. So for example, if I just navigate to the bug analysis, I could see that in this particular release, we have undertaken 4 bugs of different categories. And the average time we have tried spending on resolving that bug is zero point 0.8, which is good in that perspective that if each bug takes 1 time, then that's how it is. And then the last section basically is alert analysis. So what alert analysis shows, as Asim mentioned in his slide earlier as well, that is just sort of gives you an indicator that whether you are actually following the agile principle or the configurations which are set for your organizations in Koji. How much are you deviating from it, simply put. So if I have a look at into the alert analysis, we could see that we have got 4 alerts and 1 warning. Now, what are those alerts? What are those warning? These alerts and warning are basically on your data, and the data is in the epic analysis or in the story or in the etc. other bits. So the red line over here basically indicates that we have got an error here, or the yellow point indicated we have got a warning here. So if I just click on it, I could see that, okay, on this particular story, we have got 2 alerts and 0 warning. And if I click over here, I could see that, okay, these 2 alerts are that this particular epic does not contains any of the estimates. That means that the epic is there, story is there, it is tagged with the release, but it's not even estimated yet. And if it's not even estimated, then obviously we are not even in a position to start it because it's not estimated, neither that its subtasks are not even there. And one of the other example over here is that for this particular epic on which we discussed earlier, that we have got some story defects, and since it is being dragging on more and more, we could see that the age of this is more than the recommended time. Obviously this recommended time is configurable here. So the Koji says that the story or on any issue type should have an age under this days, but obviously the time has increased and this threshold has not met. That's why we have raised a warning. Uh, Apart from that, we have some other indicators as well that we could say an agile indicators in different aspects. So in a nutshell, we could see that in our portfolio, for example, in this particular release, how many stories are there that basically catered for that basically gets resolved in within 12 days, again configurable time, or what is our average story defect to development time ratio, or how much or how many stories we have which are overaged, etc., etc., or how many stories there are which we have underestimated or overestimated. So it sort of gives you a bird eye view. What's unique as well, that we could have this comparison not only for one release but for multiple as well. So for example, in some of the for example, even in Jira as well, we could see the burn up for a particular release or a sprint, but over here we have the ability to basically combine all the release and then see the burn up as well. And not only the burn up, but all the indicators which I have shown you. So the same view is pivoted from another angle, which is called analysis by team board. So for example, if we have a team Avengers and it has a team board called core team board example, and it has some sprints which are closed at the moment, but we could select any of the sprint and fetch the report, and it will show us the same information but from a sprint perspective. Then the date range, the time range will be the one that basically falls into the sprint but not into the release context. And not only that, we could select multiple sprints over here, and we could then see that, okay, that combining all the sprint, what's exactly happened, how does the team actually perform, how does the scopes get increased, did the team meet that performance or not, and what is the velocity of this team from the last 2 sprint, what is the churn ratio, etc., how probably one team is performing from the other team. So the same view again, burn up stories, story defects, and then the bugs, etc. But this is all from a sprint perspective. So Koji allows you to view the same information pivoted either from a release perspective, either from a work log perspective, or whether from a team board or a sprint perspective. And you could uh, pick and choose from there. And it's all pretty much configurable. And yeah, that's sort of a very high level overview. So anything from your side,
Thanks, Matt.
Asim, on it? Yeah,
Thanks, Matt.
thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah. So right now you were showing just one team's data or one release's data. Can we actually see more than one team's data on it? or?
So as of now, I have just configured one particular team, but we
Mhm.
could configure more teams on it because the data is coming actually from the source system. So on the source system, the project setup is that we have got multiple releases. So
Mhm.
if I go here, we have got two releases, but on these two releases, there is only one team which is working as of now, and in and they're sort of working in a sprint fashion. So as of now, the data is only of one team, but hopefully in the next demo, I could probably pull up the data where it consists of the multiple teams and the multiple team boards.
Okay. And
Yeah,
right now you've shown, did we see release metrics as well?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you've shown that. Okay.
This is
Excellent.
the release one. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Sounds good. Okay. Excellent.
All
I
right.
think we're done for today. Thanks for your time, Umar. And
Thank you.
any questions anyone has, I think I'll share your contact details, and they can reach out to you for if they want to schedule more demos or learn more about the product.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.